This is my payback for being gone and Judge Pattison was here covering for me. So I guess it's only fair. Mr. Stump has been in custody for 18 days. Good afternoon, sir. You Mark Andrew Stump?
Yes, sir.
Judge Middleton, your lawyer here, Luke Knopfinger, is with us, and also David Marvin, the county prosecutor. Mr. Stump, you got charged on a formal complaint alleging that on or about August 9th, that you did a home invasion on US 12 at the home of Rebecca McAllister, and that you engaged in a course of aggravated stalking by the repeated or continuous harassment of Rebecca McAllister. There are also charges being a third habitual offender, making this potentially punishable by up to life imprisonment. I'm advised by Mr. Marvin that there is a misdemeanor plea offer. Mr. Marvin, what's the offer here?
Plea to illegal entry. Rebecca McAllister is here today, Your Honor, and we've talked about this. She might want to, if we sentence today, she's available.
Very good. I appreciate that. Well, that's a pretty good plea offer from where I sit, Mr. Stump. These are felonies punishable by lengthy prison sentences. He has offered to dismiss both of those charges for a plea to illegal entry. Illegal entry is going into someone's property without permission. You don't have to have the intent to steal or do anything else. It's just illegally entering someone's property. It's a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. Do you understand the charge?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Other than that, did anyone promise you anything to get you to plead to this
No,
or threaten you?
no.
Do you understand that if you do plead to this charge, you're going to give up your right to have a trial in front of a judge or a jury? There will be no trial. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
If you had a trial, you'd have the right to be represented by an attorney. Mr. Knopfinger is here with you. You could also hire an attorney of your own choosing if you wish. If you had a trial, you'd have the right to have any of the witnesses for or against you subpoenaed to come to court so they could be questioned under oath. You would have the right to take the witness stand yourself and testify, but you don't have to because you have a right not to testify. And if you did not wish to testify, the judge or jury could not hold your silence against you. And you have the right to be presumed innocent if and until the state was able to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Let's take a look at this complaint. On that day, August 9th, were you at Rebecca McAllister's house?
Yes,
And did you go into the house there without her consent?
yes,
And there's in fact a PPO against you from Miss McAllister at that time. Is that correct?
yes.
All right. All right. Lindsay, could you swap seats for a minute? Miss McAllister, would you come up and have a seat with Mr. Marvin? Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. This has sort of been a long, difficult journey. The felony charges were dismissed. This charge carries a 93-day maximum sentence. He has a personal protection order. You have a personal protection order against him. He was just here last year on a domestic violence charge, and the probation was revoked, and he didn't pay his fines and costs. And now here we are again. You've been walking on eggshells for a long time. What would you like me to know here?
I'm not really sure.
Well, is the personal protection order still in effect?
Yes, it is.
And
I
you
had it.
still wish to have no contact with Mr.
Yes.
Stump? All right.
It was just extended about a week ago for another year.
Okay. Luke, what would you like me to know?
Just a couple other things, Judge. I'm not sure what's included in the affidavit of probable cause, but I think it's important for the court to, court mentioned the jail credit. But then also Mr. Stump is a Marine. And so he's been in contact with Stoney. Reading just the report before meeting with Mr. Stump, it seemed to be that he didn't have a car, he didn't have a place to stay. So there seemed to be a sense of desperation. And so he's has been talking to Stoney about getting him in and being at the veterans home here in the county, which is a good place for him, not just for housing, but for other resources as well. So I'd ask the court to take that into consideration when fashioning the sentence.
Mr. Marvin, anything else you want me to know?
Yeah. So Paul Harvey would always talk about the rest of the story. And I thought it was important that you should know the rest of this story. So it's true, there was a PPO that was issued, and for a year, I don't know how much of that time it was honored by either party. But he was living there and they were together, domestic relationship, and then it finally went bad again, which is what led to this. But I felt that while maybe academically this was a home invasion second with an ag stalking, the rest of the story shows that they continued a relationship. And when she finally said, enough, I'm done, you had a situation where he relied on her for a vehicle. She works, he doesn't, housing, and it became desperate. And it ended with me getting a call at almost midnight one night, state trooper saying, we've got somebody holed up in a house. How should we handle it? And rather than having an armed standoff or extracting him, they decided to wait a day, which turns out to be a good solution because it wasn't as bad as it sounded. This is a fair resolution, but I did talk with Rebecca and I explained that when you have a PPO, everybody backs you and supports you, protects you, defends you. And that means you've got to hold up your end of the bargain. And she says she will this time. So we've got one more year and she says she is now done. I don't know what to say with respect to sentencing. I think 18 days, when you hear the rest of the story, I think is probably fair.
Mr. Stump, anything you want to tell me?
I need to stand to speak. Do I stand to speak? I was in a situation where I thought I was having a stroke that evening. And that's why I was there to try to get help. Still not sure if I was having a stroke or not. Talking to the nurse at the jail, she said it's a possibility that I did. And I wasn't thinking clearly. I guess that's where my head was that evening, that afternoon, that evening.
Okay. My memory, there you've had a lot of traffic issues, goes back to 2013 when you had a gun and you were shooting it in the air. In 2020, in file number 20691, troopers responded to Clear Lake Road to victim Rebecca McAllister. Rebecca advised that Mark and herself were verbally arguing all day and began to get physical. He backhanded her, told her to take her glasses off, and proceeded to punch her. Rebecca had a bruised eye, bloody nose, and her ear was bleeding. Officers arrested the defendant for domestic violence. That was 2020. 2022. They were charged with aggravated stalking and domestic assault. It was reduced to domestic violence second. I gave you 241 days in jail, credit 41 days. No contact with Rebecca McAllister as of November 7th of 2022. I don't know when you got out. Then we have this one. It's like somebody walked up and handed you all of these problems, most of them of your own making. This relationship has been fraught with abuse, and I told you to stay away from her. There's a personal protection order to stay away from her. She keeps letting you come back. Mr. Marvin knows more about this than I do. The 241 days, I guess, didn't do much good. Let's try 93 days, credit 18. All the veteran services will be available for you then. There'll be good time calculated, and this you'll get out in about 60 days. You can go with the officers. I'm gonna waive all the fines and costs. You still owe some money on your last domestic violence where the probation was revoked. But you're good to go. You'll be out in 75 days minus good time. Mr. McAllister, that's about 60 days for you to try to get your affairs in order. I can't tell you to not allow him back in your life, but then drop the PPO. Don't get a PPO and then let him come live there in violation of the order. That's the court's order that says he can't go there. I told him not to go there. And I don't even think 2018 is the first time we went around with this. But you got 60 days of peace and quiet, and
Well, I've changed all the locks on the house now and he doesn't have keys, so.
all right, maybe Stoney can find a place for him. Thank you for being here. It's helpful.
Thank you.
All right,